One of Emmerdale's most beloved characters is standing on the edge of a cliff, and this time, there may be no one left to pull him back. The village vet, the lovable softy, the man who has survived heartbreak, depression, betrayal, and the loss of a child. After nearly 3 decades at the heart of Emmerdale, Paddy Dingle is facing the most devastating chapter of his entire story. A knock on the door, a detective with a vendetta, a secret that cannot stay buried any longer, and a goodbye that fans never thought they would have to watch. This is the moment everything changes, and the question everyone in the Emmerdale fandom is asking right now is this: is Paddy Dingle finished? Welcome back to Emmerdale Echoes, your go-to place for all the latest Emmerdale drama, spoilers, and storyline breakdowns. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because every single week we bring you the biggest moments from the Dales before anyone else. And trust us, this week you do not want to miss a single word of what we're about to tell you. The week of March 10th, 2026 has delivered one of the most talked about Emmerdale storylines in recent memory, and at the center of it all is the character who has been part of this soap's fabric since 1997. Paddy Dingle, played by the exceptional Dominic Brunt, is facing formal charges of perverting the course of justice. One fact. And the walls are closing in faster than anyone could have predicted. The online Emmerdale community is in uproar. Fan forums are on fire. And the word on everyone's lips is the same. Could this really be the end for Paddy? Let us break down everything that has been happening, everything that is coming, and what it all could mean for one of soap opera's greatest characters. To understand the full weight of this moment, we need to go back to where it all began. Because Paddy Dingle's road to this crisis wasn't sudden. It was a slow, painful unraveling that started long before DS Walsh ever set foot in that vet's clinic. Bear Wolf, Paddy's father, endured months of enslavement on Ray Walters and Celia Daniels' farm, where he was forced to exist and labor in truly appalling conditions. He suffered multiple forms of abuse, and even witnessed another victim die in his arms. One fact: when Bear finally broke free and confronted Ray, the result was fatal. Bear ultimately fled the farmhouse, hunted Ray down, and strangled him to death. His son Paddy Dingle and Dylan Penders witnessed the killing and assisted in loading Ray's body into a vehicle, and they subsequently chose to conceal what had happened in an attempt to keep the devastating secret buried. One fact: for a man like Paddy, a man who has always tried to do the right thing, even when it cost him everything, that decision would have weighed on him like a stone around his neck. He wasn't protecting a criminal. He was protecting his father. A father he only truly found later in life, after years of pain and emotional abuse from the man he was raised to believe was his dad. The bond between Paddy and Bear is one of the show's most touching relationships, which is precisely what makes what is happening now so absolutely heartbreaking. Bear eventually revealed everything to a counselor and was released on bail, but he remained haunted by his actions. Paddy, meanwhile, believed he could keep the lid on everything, that he could protect Bear from prison and protect himself from consequences at the same time. One fact: that plan, as we now know, was always going to fall apart. And fall apart it has, spectacularly, irreversibly, and with DS Walsh at the center of it all. DS Walsh visited Paddy at the vet clinic to deliver news about Bear. She confirmed that Bear wasn't fit to return to prison for the time being, but that he would be transferred to jail as soon as possible. While she was there, her eye fell on a rope Paddy kept at the clinic. Yahoo! A small detail. An innocent-looking piece of equipment in any ordinary veterinary surgery. But Walsh is not an ordinary detective, and she had seen that rope, or something very much like it, somewhere before. Later that day, Walsh returned to the clinic and asked Vanessa to let her in under a pretext. Once inside, she swiftly photographed the rope and left, immediately calling the station to have Paddy brought back in for questioning. "I've got some new evidence," she told her colleagues, and a flashback confirmed that the rope had been used to tie up Ray's body. Yahoo! What followed was one of the tensest scenes Emmerdale has produced in a long while. Paddy, calm on the surface but visibly rattled underneath, was presented with that photograph in the interview room. He stuck to his story and insisted it was just horse rope, that plenty of vets use it, and that even if it were the same rope it proved nothing, since Bear could have obtained it himself and had already confessed. TV Guide: it was a cool, composed defense. But anyone watching at home could feel the cracks beginning to show. Then came the moment that changed everything. Bear Wolf made a huge mistake during another police interview, and the realization hit Paddy and Dylan immediately. They had no choice but to hand themselves in. The two were formally charged with perverting the course of justice. One fact: just like that, Paddy Dingle, Emmerdale's gentle, bumbling, kind-hearted village vet, became a man with a criminal charge hanging over his head. The scenes that followed were quiet in a way that hurt more than any dramatic shouting match ever could. Paddy sitting with Mandy, the weight of everything he'd done, and everything he might lose, written all over his face. The vet's surgery, his daughter Eve, his father Bear, his life in the Dales. all of it suddenly feeling like it could slip away. The reaction from fans has been extraordinary. Within hours of the episode's airing, Emmerdale was trending, and the conversation around Paddy's future has become one of the most passionate debates in the soap fandom right now. Some fans are firmly in Walsh's corner, with one viewer writing, "Good, Paddy deserves to be in prison." Others are absolutely convinced that Walsh is operating with a hidden agenda. TV Guide, and that theory has really taken hold online. Fans are adamant that Walsh is doing far too much, that she is pursuing Paddy, Bear, and Moira with a determination that goes well beyond professional diligence. Ethan. Viewers have been questioning whether Walsh may be connected to the recent criminal activity in the village, with some even speculating that she could be linked to villains Celia Daniels and Ray Walters, perhaps as the mysterious figure above them in the criminal chain of command. Ethan, one fan posted online, "DS Walsh is as bent as a piece of metal and out to get Bear at any cost." Another wrote, "I've been saying there's something not right about her." A third added, "She's desperate to have them both caught out and sent down. There has to be a reason." The social media sentiment is split, but what is absolutely unanimous is the emotional investment. Nobody wants to see Paddy go. And the idea that this warm, clumsy, devoted man might be ripped away from the village he has called home for nearly 30 years is genuinely distressing viewers across the country. So what does all of this actually mean? Not just for the drama, but for the future of one of Emmerdale's longest-serving characters? What is so clever about this storyline is the moral complexity at its heart. Paddy did not help cover up a cold-blooded murder. He watched his father, a man who had been enslaved, brutalized, and stripped of his dignity, finally break free and take revenge on his torturer. One fact: Bear's actions were those of a man pushed beyond the limits of human endurance. And Paddy, as a son who came so close to never having his father in his life at all, made a decision rooted entirely in love. Does that make it right? No. Does it make it understandable? Absolutely. While Bear may be able to argue self-defense due to his mental incapacity, the same cannot so easily be said for Paddy. At the very least, he faces a charge of perverting the course of justice, and the question of whether he can escape a prison sentence is very much open. TV Guide. The arrival of Mandy back in the village adds another layer of emotion to all of this. Mandy has recently returned after a stint away in Ireland, and her reappearance means that Paddy will have his wife by his side as the storm breaks around him. Entertainment Daily. But can even Mandy's fierce, unshakable love be enough to hold things together? And what does this mean for little Eve, who has already been through so much in her short life? Then there is the wider picture at Emmerdale right now. Paddy Dingle has been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer, while his wife Moira sits in prison, and the Dingle family are under siege from every direction. Entertainment Daily. The idea of Paddy potentially facing imprisonment too would be a devastating blow to that entire family unit, and to the emotional core of the show itself. So where does this all go from here? The spoilers suggest that the immediate future is bleak for Paddy and Dylan. The week of the 16th to the 20th of March is set to be a pivotal one, as the pair face the very real consequences of those charges. One fact: the courtroom is looming. The sentence is not yet written. And in true Emmerdale fashion, nothing is likely to be straightforward. There is also the matter of DS Walsh herself. If the fan theories about her hidden connections turn out to be correct, it could completely alter the course of this storyline. If Walsh is exposed as a corrupt officer with her own ties to the criminal world Paddy is caught up in, the entire case against him could collapse. But Emmerdale rarely gives its characters an easy way out, and even a not guilty verdict would not erase what Paddy knows about himself. He made a choice. He will have to live with it. The big question hanging over everything, of course, is whether Dominic Brunt himself might be preparing for a permanent exit from the show. Actor Brunt has spoken in the past about the anxiety of contract renewals, once admitting that every Christmas he still wonders if it might be his last. For now, nothing has been confirmed, but the pacing of this storyline, the emotional weight that has been attached to Paddy's every scene, and the deliberate sense that his world is contracting around him, all of it feels very much like Emmerdale is building to something significant. Whether that means a prison sentence, a dramatic departure, or a last-minute reprieve that keeps Paddy in the village, we simply do not yet know. But the journey there promises to be some of the most compelling television Emmerdale has produced in years. To bring it all together, Paddy Dingle, the man who arrived in Emmerdale as a temporary locum and never left, who married into the Dingle family, who lost a daughter, who battled depression, who found his biological father, and who has always tried to be a good person, is now facing the most serious legal and personal crisis of his life. He covered up a killing to protect his father. DS Walsh is closing in. The charges have been filed, and the countdown to whatever comes next has well and truly begun. In nearly 30 years on screen, Dominic Brunt has given viewers countless unforgettable moments. But this one, quiet, sorrowful, and achingly real, just might be the one that defines everything. What do you think is going to happen to Paddy Dingle? Is he heading to prison? Is D.S. Walsh hiding something darker? And do you believe Emmerdale is building toward a permanent exit for one of its greatest ever characters? We want to hear everything. Drop your theories, your predictions, and your feelings in the comments below, because this is exactly the kind of storyline that gets the whole community talking. If this video gave you all the latest on the drama in the Dales, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps us bring you more content just like this. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Emmerdale Echoes so you never miss a single update, spoiler, or breakdown from the village. We'll see you in the next one.